Did you know that there were actually two founders of Christianity? Okay, so most people know about Jesus. He's the guy who started the whole thing by dying on a cross for our sins and stuff. But it was actually his apostle, Paul, who turned the tiny Jewish sect of early Christians into the universal religion that we know today. And he did this by having a radical identity crisis. See, before he was an apostle, Paul was a guy called Saul. He was a religious scholar who studied under the Pharisees, the same group that rejected Jesus as the Messiah. In fact, Saul was so zealous in his belief that the Pharisees were right and everyone else was wrong that he personally persecuted the followers of Jesus. Then, one day, while he was on his way to arrest some Christians in Damascus, he had a vision. Some people have suggested that this may have been a hallucination brought on by a fever, but others think it was a genuine visitation from Jesus himself. Either way, the experience radically changed Saul's identity. He went from being a religious scholar to becoming a street preacher. He abandoned his life of luxury and privilege to live among the poor and the outcasts. And instead of persecuting Christians, he dedicated his life to protecting them. In fact, Paul took his mission to spread the good news of Jesus to the Gentiles. That is, to everyone who was not Jewish. This caused a lot of tension within the early church. Jewish Christians felt threatened by Paul's radical ideas, so they challenged him to prove that Gentiles didn't have to follow Jewish law in order to become Christians. Paul accepted the challenge, and eventually the church agreed that Gentiles could become Christians without first becoming Jewish. This decision is what allowed Christianity to spread beyond the Middle East and eventually become a universal religion. So the next time you hear someone say that Jesus founded Christianity, just remember that it was really Paul who built the thing that we know today. And if it hadn't been for his radical identity change, we wouldn't all be here. Thanks for watching.